Okay, everyone. If I did that right, perfect. Sound comes through. That works great. I'm just going to do a quick Twitter here to let everyone know. Live. So, how is everyone doing today with the absolutely insane market that has been going on? Absolutely wild. Boom. And we are good. Okay. So, again, if somebody is new here, welcome. My name is Michael Noss. I'm a chartered market technician and a quantitative trader. So, let's just go right into it right away here. Cut the middle guy entirely. Get this over. Sorry, I just need to get all this sized. Move that over. Perfect. Okay, so what we do here is we take a couple hours, go stream. We try to figure out what happened this week in stocks, in crypto, in FX, in basically every market that you can think of, because those are all the markets that I trade. Try to figure out what's going to go on for next week. We talk a little bit about individual names. So if you have any individual names you want me to take a look at, we'll do that once we are kind of in the area of looking at individual charts, like looking at, different names, right? So, because first I like to go to the FX side of things, and then I like to go over to, which I also include crypto in, then I go over into our main indices, and then lastly into individual names and scanning. So if you've got something that you want me to look at, that is the best time to do that. Just let me know when. Workout music. Get some tunes going. So to start this, let's just pop right into, let's hit this. Okay. So I have to just shrink a little bit. Or no, Michael, that doesn't make any sense. Do that. Like that. And then shrink it this way. Just want to make sure I'm not covering up any price action here. Sidebar. Oops. Add remove widgets. Make that wide. There we go. Perfect. So first, I always like to go into crypto, and Bitcoin obviously had a bit of a bad time over the last few days. Not something that really shocks me, kind of one way or the other. We were talking about this bull flag that was going on here in crypto for a while, right? We had this push off. We had this push off 70,000, fell all the way to about 35,000, and then we were kind of putting in this flag. Broke down out of that flag a few days ago. I think I was talking about this last weekend when I was talking about shorting this name. I still am short. We broke down to about 36, which was this low, which is very interesting. So the question is, are we going to hold that low right there, or are we going to break through? And if we break through, the next kind of low to look at is somewhere in this area, give or take. So, and then under that, if we go to the weekly chart here, let's just go into candles. I think I've gone out. Oh, hey, I do. But yeah, so if we're going to continue to sell, right, we're talking the 18,000, the 2018 highs, and then after that, we're into the tens. So if this is just a big distribution pattern, which to be honest, it does kind of look like, we have some downside potentially to go. Note, you're going to see me do this a lot where I take a screenshot of my screen. And again, that's because what I do here on Saturdays with you guys is what I do every single night for Stats Edge Trading, where I go through all of these charts on my own. I go through probably 500 charts a night. And then I summarize all the ones that I think are important into a little blog post. That on top of access to all of my scans, access to our trading room. I don't like just don't like really calling it a room because it's just a place that we hang out. I don't believe in signal services or anything like that. But let's make this crypto. Oops. That is basically what we do at Stats Edge Pro. So link is in the description below if you want to give that a shot, or any of the programs you see me use here today. Links in the description below for all of those. So let's just take a look through our different. Let's just turn that off for now. I'm just playing with that. See if there's anything of interest going on in the crypto market. When Bitcoin took that tumble last week, most other cryptos did as well. So it's potential that I don't see. People from the Stats Edge Pro will tell you for most of the week I haven't really been watching a lot of crypto names. And just simply because I kind of look at Bitcoin as like the spy in crypto in a way, and that's been down. So it means that a lot of the other markets have been down. Funny enough, right? If we think about something that's holding near its 2022 highs, it's Dogecoin, which is funny enough. I am in some Doge, I think from around 15 cents, and I've got to stop down here somewhere. I don't think it got triggered, but I might need to take a look. Just funny enough that it's holding up relatively well, being a joke coin. I wonder if there's some hope that, right, Elon's gonna, I don't know, make it the money of Twitter or something. But yeah, a lot of this still looks, and this is all the stuff that's up today, right? A lot of this still looks bad. Even the ones that I was looking at, like Mana and Sand and this Matic and all of these things that were holding this support, finally let go. So pretty much all of it is trading right under support, which, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. So we'll just look for the next stuff going up. How's Luna? Is that still holding? No, Luna's falling off as well. Luna, I was looking for it to get back over $100 here. It just fell off of that down to the 70s. So not great. Not great for Luna. So yeah, I think, the whole crypto space, the tail of the crypto space is going to be from looking at Bitcoin here. And that's just to say not great. So basically, if this flag continues to resolve the way it is, I think the entire crypto space is going to be weighted. The benefit of being a relative strength trader, so again, if anyone's new here, basically what I generally try to do is always look for strength. I'm not someone who buys dips. I'm not someone who, really buys bottoming patterns that much. I want to always find what's the strongest, something that's holding near a recent high or above an anchored VWAP from a recent low or something. I want the market to demonstrate strength to me before I'm a buyer of anything. It means I never catch the bottom. It also means that I'm never, pulling a Peloton like the people that are, right, have been trying to top pick or bottom pick Peloton since, $150 ago. So, this chart is just not something that I would ever even really look at until we get to the point, remove that old thing, until we get to the point that the market has demonstrated to me that this thing now has some strength in it. So that's kind of my trading philosophy. So that when I go and I apply that to Bitcoin, I see that really no cryptocurrency I can find is showing that relative strength right now. But if Bitcoin starts selling, that gives us an opportunity to help find that relative strength. So the beauty of being a relative strength player is that I'm always, even on really, crappy down days or really crappy down markets, I may not be super active, but I have something to do. And that's just to find a list of things that didn't fall, right? So let's go into the Forex market and see if there's anything going on there. There wasn't the last time I checked. And I always start this with UUP. For those who don't know, UUP is an ETF that just tracks the dollar index. So, right, the dollar versus, a basket of other currencies. I think most of it is euro. There's yen, there's GPY, there's pound, sterling, all of it. But I think mostly it's like euro and pound. So, we've been watching this kind of cup and handle pattern that was in through here. We watched that forever. And then we finally got a break out of that. And then we had this little bull flag. And then we had a break out of that. And I have my kind of tongue-in-cheek note here. But the US dollar just continues to look incredibly strong. And there's no reason to think that this uptrend will just end out of a blue. So I have to kind of bet that the US dollar is going to continue to be strong, which, is one of the reasons that I think crypto is weak, right? We have a crazy inflationary environment. We have, the Fed printing money. We have all that. And if the US dollar is going to continue to be strong and stay strong, that kind of puts a hole in a lot of those like really hardcore crypto bros mantra, right? So just a big rounded bottom here on the daily. We've got, I think this is obviously some sort of bad tick. I think this had something to do with Brexit, I think. And again, you can just see how incredibly strong this is. It's at highs, closing highs. I guess depends on what happened on this week. Almost closing highs for like the past 12 years in the dollar. So dollar is very, very strong. That makes it a little bit hard to trade crypto because, if the dollar's that strong, everything else is going to have the same kind of pattern, which is just if it's denoted in dollars, it's going to be going down. I'm still going to watch this Aussie yen, right? We had a great trade in this Aussie yen as we broke out of this symmetrical triangle. And then after we broke out of the next one, there was another few bucks we had there, nothing crazy. And then we came back in. So if this continues to base, I may look for a resolution of that base one way or the other. Really, I don't see, Aussie dollar. I was short some in through here. When we bounced off this support zone, I got out of that position. So now the only thing I'd wait for, because if you can see this kind of inverse cup and handle that's going on here. So if this will, move sideways or chop or something around this area and then break down, I'll look for a trade. I think the same thing that's going on here is kind of mirrored here. Yeah, the same kind of look on the US dollar Canadian. So essentially what's happening is that US dollars is going up. The Canadian and Aussie are what they call petrocurrencies. So what's happening is because US dollars is increasing and oil is increasing, then anything that's denoted, so if I go Euro USD, right? Euro USD has just been continuing to sell, right? We had a nice little bear flag here. Same with the pound is going to continue to sell because these are denoted in dollars. But this one here hasn't moved yet, and I think it only hasn't moved because dollar is keeping the Canadian dollar and the Aussie dollar propped up. So for this bottom here to resolve, you're going to need oil to kind of relax, right? If oil sells off, but the dollar remains strong, then I think it's a potential on this CAD dollar and then on the Aussie dollar on the other side that these things could break. And if they do, then there's trades to be had in both of them. So that's what I'm watching. I always try to give my bias when it comes to talking about these things, simply because I am Canadian and I'm generally paid in US dollars, right? So for me, a best case scenario, oops, would be some sort of sell off in the Aussie dollar, right? That would just be, or a Canadian dollar. So if I was being super biased, I'd want that. Obviously, not best for my country if that happens, but it would be good for me. Okay, now to the main event. What in the hell is going on in this market? So there's a couple things to note here that I was watching, right? This could be a giant rounded top. They always say that bottoms are an event, but tops are a process. Yeah, I like that message, Brett. Hit the like, people. Get going. I may start experimenting with this time zone on Saturday soon. I know Sunday got more viewers. It makes more sense, but I'm just trying to have like one day a week where I don't think about or look at any markets or anything like that for sanity. But we might change up the time. Anyway, back to the SPY. So if this is the case, that this is a giant rounded top, technically you're supposed to take the height of the pattern and then double that, which I measured before, and it gets us kind of into this 350 area, which, that's not really something I do a lot of. Not to say that it definitely is stupid or makes no sense or something like that, but 350 is also the highs back here. So that may make sense. However, this anchored VWAP from the COVID lows, this may also be a target for the markets. Now, what I will say, if you just zoom in to the most recent candles here, we now got 3 days where these lower shadows just could not get under or could not stay under this 410 area. We are at, I would define this as at, not quite below yet, but at this support zone, kind of in this area right here. This is obviously not a strong looking chart, right? No one's saying that this is a really strong looking chart or anything. Obviously, super weak looking overall. However, right, these two bottoming tails make me interested. If those two bottoming tails can kind of hold, maybe it's just showing us that there's some accumulation, the same kind of accumulation that may have occurred back here, but maybe some accumulation going on in this market. I don't know who would be the accumulator, but if that's what it's showing us. Now, I don't think that's a reason to get overly bullish in this area, just because, right, you are, as long as we hold under this, we're technically in a downtrend. So a lot of you will know that during most of this, I wasn't super bearish, right? There's been a lot of people, right, I'm sure on the social medias and stuff, I've seen them, that essentially were bearish on every single downtick the market had. They instantly got bearish every single time the market did any kind of a downtick. They were like, oh my God, it's over. I kind of refuse to play that game because what I am is a trend trader. So what I want to see is a low and then a lower high and then a lower low. And we got that in through here. So this is technically the first time we've been in a downtrend. I think I remember talking about this with you guys and way back here and said something that if we bounce and then fail, I'm going to start to be worried because that's the change of behavior. But before, it's always been sell off and then bounce and then sell off and then bounce and then sell off and then bounce. But as soon as that bounce fails, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to start getting a little bit nervous here. And that's what happened. So I am definitely paring down. The people from the pro room will tell you the watch list has been really short because it's very hard for me to find stocks that look good and are strong. So essentially, that just means you do less, right? You shorten your time horizon and you do less. And eventually, the market's going to bounce. And when it did, like when it bounced in through here, my portfolio was entirely loaded up with stuff. As the market started to turn, I got stopped out for trailing stops, for profits for a lot of that. And now, just through the natural kind of way my portfolio works, I'm in a pretty large amount of cash. But I'm going to continuously be making lists and watching, just because at some point, right, we're going to turn. And so our job, my job anyway, is to come into work every day, try to evaluate when the market looks like it's putting in some footing, and have a list of the strongest names so that when it bounces, it's going to be I'm going to have a list of these names that are super strong, hopefully buy them on continued strength, and hopefully make some money off them. So I kind of like in this chart setup that I got on the go, right? Because we got daily and we got weekly. So weekly, this kind of helps us paint a picture of a potential head and shoulders pattern, right? Your neckline would probably be around here. We're kind of right in that area right now. So again, I'm not going to go full on crazy bearish, but this does kind of look like a topping pattern. And so what I do, and I'm going really slow and I'm taking a long time with this chart because I think this is going to be the most important chart of the day, is now's the moment when you're in a clear uptrend, like in through here. Everybody who was calling the top on every dip just doesn't have a plan, right? They're just trying to go by feel, and that just doesn't work in the long run. For people like me who are a little bit more systematic and know what I wanted to see, which was, some sort of break a trend, a bounce that failed, and some sort of continuation. Now it's time to build the what if scenarios, right? So we know that this zone right here, around this area, was support in through here, was support back here, right? Was support in through here, and now it's looking like an area here. So what would I need to see to start going, okay, it's time to put on the gas a little bit when it comes to the longs I'm taking, right? So the first area is just got to be this one right here. Let's just do it with this. So the first one's got to be this zone right here with these two highs, right? We have two kind of equal highs hanging out, and that's right at 130 or 430. So if we can get, let's zoom those in a bit. If we can get over these highs right here at 430 and hold, so like close, then it means that this was the most recent time that sellers were able to take control, right? We had this little bounce and sellers slapped it back down. And then we had this little bounce and then sellers slapped it back down. So we get and hold above this area right here. I think that, okay, maybe it's going to be time that it's confirmation that this support may be holding and to get in a bit. If we break down and we close below these tails right here, that's when I'm going to say, okay, time to just sit and wait. So basically between these two areas, there's really nothing for me to do other than continue to build my list, try to find the strongest names. If the market's going to take off, great. And then if we sell off, we'll have to create another game plan. Which again, the game plan will be try to find the strongest names. Now, it might be one of those things that everything is selling. So trying to find the strongest names may become names that are still going down, but they're going down at way less of a rate than everything else. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a name that's right near highs. We're just looking for stuff that is stronger or holding up stronger than the market. Boring way to trade, but it's my way to trade, and it's consistent way to trade, which is the most important. So let's go through USO. right? Really nothing to say here. You don't have to say much about the USO. We are still well off these. I was talking about this on Trader TV on Friday, if anyone caught that. But we are way off our 2018 highs still. Still like another 20 something percent off 2018 highs. So for everyone who's saying, okay, we're overdone, this thing has to crash, those people were probably saying that here. They were probably saying that here. They were probably saying that here, right? They may be right this time. But the way I just look at this real simply is we have a couple equal highs up here, and then we have this ascending trend line right here. So when it comes to USO, I don't think there's really anything to talk about. Well, that's way wrong. USO. I don't think there's really anything to talk about except this one. I have this is the notes I have for Friday. Only major sector up today, so I'm just gonna readjust this trend line, right, just to show that we got those three equal highs going on, and then just break out. Watch. Because if oil continues, then that's great. Like I am totally okay with a market continuing like it has been, in which it's a bifurcated market, and it's been a bifurcated market for a long time. Long time. I've been talking about Kathy Wood up, Burke B down, or other way. Kathy Wood down, Berkshire Hathaway up. I've been talking about that for, it feels like, over a year now. So I love markets like that as a relative strength trader. I know a lot of people were getting very frustrated, but those were the people that were continuously buying the dip on ARC stuff or XBI or something like this. So I'm on the other side. I was looking at oil names and, value names, so I would be fine right now. Are you defining relative strength? Yeah, that's my trading philosophy of just what's holding. Right? What is the strongest stuff out there? And that's what I'm always going to participate in. So a lot of people, when they hear relative strength, they think of the relative strength index. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, so here's a simple example, right? Of stock based on both technical and no fundamentals. I don't care about fundamentals. I'm a chartered market technician, so that's part of the reason for that. But the other is that technicals are so lagging. I don't think or fundamentals are so lagging, I don't think they matter. But this is a simple way to define relative strength. Look at XLC, which is your communication index, and just look at maybe relative to your post-COVID highs. You can see we're right at them. And then just go back to XLRE, which is our real estate, and then you can see, right, XLC was straight down for a few months, and XLRE is holding much higher. So that's basically what I'm talking about, is who's selling what. So, right, KWEB, I don't even need to tell you this, but if I were to question you, is KWEB stronger or weaker than the overall market, you can just look, right? Another way you can do it, and I know a way that's pretty common to do it, is just take a chart, take this one, let's turn off the symbol linking, and let's make this the SPY, and we'll do a daily chart. And okay, that starts. So these start roughly the same date. So you just leave the bottom one as the SPY, and then start going through the rest of them and saying, okay, well, the SPY is kind of holding up here, and this one's been straight down, right? And then let's do one that's the opposite, USO, right? So this one's been going up, this one's been going down. Keep it simple. Keep trading simple and it will make your life way, way easier. So really going through that, the only thing that stuck out to me as a strong sector, let's do it on this one as well, just in case I miss an ETF. The only thing that really looks good to me is oil, right? That's the only thing with kind of any strength. Yeah, wheat's holding stronger. So I just use wheat as kind of a proxy for agriculture products. XLRE, maybe. I'm just going to make this note that this is holding back at support. So real estate is obviously a little bit stronger in the market, not too much. Materials are a little bit stronger than the markets. Solar's actually holding up okay. Right, corn is going to be kind of the same as wheat. Right, so the other way you can look at that is moo, kind of an agricultural ag business as opposed to an actual commodity. But you can see how this is holding. Utilities holding up a little bit too, so it's the same story. Right? It's the same story of the boring stuff is doing well. People who are chasing growth and more exciting stuff are getting hammered. Which I don't think that really shocks anyone, or at least it shouldn't. It's been that way now for almost a year. I've been screaming about that. So now is when we're going to try to find some individual names. So first I'm going to go through the current watch list here. And see what I have to remove. I don't think it's anything. I shouldn't say that, I don't know. All right. So you can see how short my current watch list is. Because there's not a lot that I'm finding out there. Oh, so speaking of. So, right, this Cree, we obviously aren't interested in that anymore. We wanted to see it kind of break out of this area here. And, right, not doing that. WWE, still holding on. I'm going to keep this one on the list. Big, massive wick down and then held. So that one I'm going to keep on watch. EXEL, I'm going to kill that as well. Been watching that forever. You can see the little dotted line there on the trend spider charts also telling me that earnings is like a day or two away. American Airlines, I'm going to keep this one again. I'm just trying to play this VWAP pinch, this anchored VWAP from the top and the bottom. If we trade too much under here, if we don't bounce some more, I'll kill this one. And then this one, no, I'm going to kill this one as well. So we only have two things on our watch list right now. So WWE and AAL. So again, this is the time too. I see one request there. If you want me to take a look at charts, I'll go through those. I'm going to scan through my own stuff and see if we can find anything. And again, if we don't, I'll do other stuff. So I'm always asked, right, what's my plan in a bear market? And I went over it a few times. My plan is pretty much the same. Just the same stuff. I'm going to look for relative strength. I'm going to buy relative strength. I'm going to sell relative weakness, and I'm going to move on. That's total game plan. The other thing is I shorten time horizons. I've been doing more day trading than I normally do. I'll buy something, and then if I get a move, even if it's 1 hour or something, I'll probably sell like 75% of it, keeping a little bit for a runner. Maybe usually a little lower size, but like wider stops, things like that, right? Just don't whatever you do, don't change what it is that you do just because the market changes, ATKR. Looks good. What do they do? Excuse me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna grab some more water. You see, I've been chugging this stuff. I got something in my throat. I like this one. Earnings out of the way. It's gapped up, so it's obviously done something well with earnings. I think your stop is right if it breaks into that gap. I'm gonna steal this one, I think. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I got some frog in my throat. So yeah, I am actually gonna steal this. So thank you. I like it because it's got a lot of some resistance up here. So we're gonna wait for that to clear. So maybe even 117 or so, and then your stop. Right, you know exactly where you're wrong. Keep forgetting this session. There we go. Right, so yeah, so like 117 and then like 106 is what I'd be looking at, somewhere around that. Okay, and then AMPY. Maybe I'll like this one too, and you can just do all my work for me. Yeah, that one's just not. Too kind of choppy for me. It's been running for 2 months now, and that's a pretty, again, it's a good return, but when I look at this, I just see so much slop for the percentage swings, right? So like in the last few days from the low to the high is a 30% gain, but then before that it probably dropped 30%. So just a bit choppy. So just if you're going to take something like that, just know it's going to be a little wackier. So trade smaller, right? You're going to get massive swings. Is this even liquid? It's trading like something that would do lower volume. No, million shares. Okay, so 1,000,000 shares, so $8 million passes through it. So just be careful with that one. Not as interested about that. Would you analyze the sectors first to see which has the most strength and look at individual stocks? Yep. If you don't have a scanner that can show you stuff like that, like Trade Ideas has with its TI strength, or just building a scan of strong names, certainly that's a great way. They call that a top-down analysis, which is mostly still how I look at things, even though I don't do that thing. So by top-down analysis, they essentially mean you start with the overall market, then you go into the individual sectors, and you'll go into the individual names within that sector. So that's a very typical kind of analysis of, I think the SPY is going to go up, therefore I'm going to look at what the strongest sectors are, and I think oil has this breakout pattern that I'm interested. Now let me look for oil names and find something that's really, really strong in the oil sector. Because even if you go into the oil names, you're probably going to find, some stocks that are doing way better than others. So by going on the strength, that goes on the strength, that goes on the strength, right? again, if you believe in that same concept of, strong things are always strong. Merck. Merck actually looks great. It was, Merck. There we go. This was actually in the TI strength alerts a little bit ago. Got to get that wick out of there. So actually, this one I already had planned to add to the list. So I'm going to take this one as well. I just love the run up. We got this little bull flag here. We had a nice move after earnings, and then we're just kind of basing sideways. So this was actually on the TI strength email 2 days ago, I think, or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I just like anytime I see a push like this off of earnings and then this sideways kind of chop, I really like the look of it. Because again, I don't care about the technicals or the fundamentals, but this kind of tells me that I don't need to care about that, right? Whatever happened here on earnings was good. That's all I need to know, right? I don't need all of the intricate details of what it was at 89.86. Yeah, I'll be lucky if I get 10 things on the watch list. I would be floored. Because again, I'm not going to push that hard for them. But yeah, so I like Merck. So that one's added. Let's actually go to. So yeah, I'm going to just start scanning. So if you have anything you want me to look at, or if you say, hey, why did you include that or exclude that or whatever, let me know. Again, if I just wanted to do these as a solo thing, I could just record them and kind of move on. I just stopped at that howl for a second because I've seen it on a few scans. So I have like 4 or 5 scans that I'm going to go through, and again, I'm not going to push it because I just don't think you should. Like I take it as a cue of how hard it is for me to find symbols that I want to trade. Yeah, I don't really like that big sell off and then it's up 5 days in a row. GIS, so I'm not going to buy anything that's up 5 days in a row like that. If it chills out for a bit, maybe, but nothing really there that interests me. Let's take a look at. There's a new scan in this one, just called Squeeze, and this is looking for your typical Bollinger Band squeeze. So a lot of buyouts here I got to sort out, but yeah, it's one of those so here's BMY, and this is just going to move with Merck. So it's one of those things that this is the only reason why I really pay attention to what companies I have on list, and I just don't leave it, completely just symbols, because I've thought about doing that, is that BMY and Merck are probably going to move pretty well together. McDonald's actually is looking strong. So again, another example, if you're just going to point out of the simpleness of relative strength, is look how much of a bounce we had on McDonald's, and then we're right on lows with the SPYs. So this one's interesting. Again, expensive stock doesn't move very much. And then Dr. Pepper, because why not? So and you'll notice this, right? A lot of boring names in a lot of these scans, and it's because they're the only ones that just aren't getting taken to the woodshed. So if that's what we have to do, is just to be in all the boring stuff, because it's not getting that's just what they're not killing, then that's fine. I'll be buying that stuff. So this is a new scan. If you haven't seen it in TI Strength, we have them for all of the different time frames, and it's just looking for a Bollinger Band squeeze. So we can do a little lesson while we do this. But again, I'm not an indicator guy. I don't believe they have any magic. However, one thing I do like about the Bollinger Bands here is a way to quantify when something is tight, right? So what this scan is looking for is, stock that is getting these bands contracted. So basically what the Bollinger Bands measure is how much you fluctuate around a 20 period moving average. Simplest way to put it. So if they are wide, it means the fluctuation around that 20 period moving average is wide. And if they're very, very narrow and very, very tight, then that means the fluctuation between the moving average is getting tighter. So, it's just a way to quantify to say, hey, however this thing moved before, it's starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter with the way it's moving now. So everything you'll see in this one, you'll notice that these bands are getting tighter and tighter, right? So if I was looking to short something from a swing point of view, this GXO, it is in a downtrend, and these things are getting tight. So below this, it could be a nice short. Same with THI or DHI, right? Downtrend, getting very, very tight. I see some support around 70. So if you get a close under 70, maybe you sell. I'm going to start playing more with options if I ever want to get interested in shorting. On a swing point of view, I just find it kind of dangerous as is. You can get these rip ups. But yeah, so you'll notice a lot of these, they're getting really, really tight, but they're doing it on the low end of a range, which again would be very interesting for someone looking to short these names. But again, I just look for relative strength. So if I find something that's strong like that, or even something eventually base for a long time there. But yeah, most of these are getting very, very tight at the end of downtrends. That's ironic. Ticker base is basing. Bird. Those scooters, right? Isn't that what that is? Yeah, they're all... Doesn't shock me. Also, if people are bottom picking, this is the stuff that I would look to bottom pick. Okay, so there's nothing from there that I really liked. So now let's look at the bull flag. Can you explain the AVWAP scanner? Is it substituting AVWAP for an MVA? I don't know what that is. It's basically a pullback scanner. That's it. Just looking for stocks that are pulling back. So they're under their anchored VWAP from the high of 10 days ago. And they've been under that for a while with some tweaks to it. But just everything you notice I go through will be looking for some sort of kind of pullback, or that's the bear flag. I want the bull flag. Right? Because I'm a very, very simple man. And I know it's funny with the Stats Edge Pro, we get a lot of people who join and then leave. And then I think most of the reason for that is that, they're not just getting fed signals all day, every day. But I think part of it is that I'm really easy to figure out. DLTR, eh? Yeah, that one looks okay. You got earnings a little later in the month, but you got some time. But yeah, I like how it's got that resistance there that's acting as support. So that looks good. If that breaks, anything that's holding stronger. I just don't know. I think you'd have to hold that one a long time to make anything off it. I think I had Dollar General on the list for a while, and it just acted gross. There's Playboy again. Or no, that's not Playboy. Dave & Buster's. It is holding up very, very well. There is some definite relative strength in this name. Yeah, but it's trading under. I think I'm just going to set an alert to remind me this later if it gets anywhere up in this area. The best part about those alerts, right? You can just slap out an alert and say, okay, let me know if something happens, and then just move on with your day. United States Oil Fund showing up in the bull flag scanner. The buyout. Roofing supply company makes sense. I'm actually going to put, because I don't need this, I'm going to turn that back on. And then I'm going to make this weekly. I like using these line charts for really longer term charts, just to let you know where you are in the grand scheme of things. There's your Campbell soup that you were looking at. See, 4 days up in a row and just a slow grind. I think that 4 days up in a row is like 2.5 or 3%. Just nada, right? Like, what are they going to do? They make soup. They're going to come out with the best soup ever. Nothing to add for this one. It's in a downtrend. It's trading at near lows. Not something that I'd be interested in. This I've actually been meaning to add to my ETF list there. It's just an ETF that tracks commodities, different commodities. I just keep forgetting the name until I see it there. USOI. What's that? Oh, covered call. These covered call ETFs are getting interesting to me. So this pays a 20-cent dividend monthly. I think it's monthly. I don't know. You'd have to look at each one. But there's QYLD, which is a covered call. So basically what you're doing is you're paying a guy a fee to sell covered calls on the Q index for you, and then he pays you those out. So this is paying 21 cents a month, and it basically, he takes the dividend that he gets from the Q's ETF, and then he pays you what he makes for the covered calls that he's writing on it, and you're paying a performance or a management fee for that. So you're basically just, it's like outsourcing, paying a guy writing covered calls, which means it's going to go down. When it goes down, it's going to go down a little less than the Qs. When it goes up, it's going to go up less than the Qs, and then it's just going to pay you. So that's a pretty good dividend. 10%. KHC, that's going to be moving with the rest of them. Yeah. So that's going to move with Merck. It's going to move with... Again, it's an interesting look. Maybe I'll add this one. I don't think I'll add this one. It's going to move with Dollar Tree. It's going to move with Campbell Soup. It's going to, you got to just note that there is a basket of, right, end of the world stocks. Like KO is going to look the same. Pepsi, right, is going to look roughly the same. I like KHC because it actually looks a little stronger than those. But just note that these stocks never move, right? So say we get all the way up, we break out and we make this move higher. That's 3%. Better than nothing, but the lows here that you have to swing is about 5%, right? So these are kind of, actually, I just noticed that it's up 4 days in a row, so I'm not interested in adding it here. But yeah, they're all going to move the same because you got to remember they're all just, there is a basket of stocks, and a lot of this is going to be done programmatically, that they have, okay, the market is selling off. Because you have to remember, the reason that relative strength works and the reason that trends persist is that a lot of these big funds have to, by law, be in a certain amount. They have to be generally 99% invested. So to do that and to be 90% invested, you always have to buy stocks. So it means if you're going to try to beat the market and then, tech stock names start selling, you are not allowed to sell those and go to cash. You're like, it's against the covenants of your prospectus. That's the word. So you have to be in something. So there is a list, and like Campbell Soup, Kraft Heinz, General Mills, Walmart, right? All of these things, that these are supposed to be your when shit hits the fan stocks, right? Things that, right, people are going to buy ketchup, right? People are going to buy cereal, right? These things that just, and it's one of those, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, but there are algos that go, okay, market selling, let me get into these names. And the reason they do them is they're just incredibly they're incredibly inelastic. They don't move very much. They're low beta names. So, what's going to happen? And if you think about their business model, it makes sense, right? General Mills is not going to double its market, and its market's not going to get cut in half. It makes cereal. It's going to make about the same last year as it made this year, regardless of what happens in the world. And regardless of what happens to its competition, it's going to make about the same. Probably pay a good dividend, that kind of thing. So if you want to join them, that's fine. What I would say is that, when you factor in commissions and things like this, just make sure you're not trading them because you feel the need to buy something right now. If you kind of feel that need to buy something and that's why you're doing it, then don't. I like the look of this one, but then I noticed that earnings 4 days. So a lot of that going on too. And that will get better in the next week or so. Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot. So I am actually going to now go. Last scan I'm going to look at is TI strength, but I'm actually going to zoom down a little bit just because I generally don't look at this on the weekend because, we do sell a newsletter. I know what's on it, so I don't want to really give that away. So this is a proprietary algorithm that I made that is part of Trade Ideas that essentially does the relative strength work for you. It's going to find the names that are the strongest. Oh, I scrolled way too far down. The names that are strongest in the overall market. And it's always going to do that. And a lot of these, to be honest, names don't look great to me from a visual kind of a thing. However, the algorithm has been tested, right? The algorithm does an amazing job of finding strong names to own. So like this NOC, this NOC, this looks way overdone to me. But if it gets over this level, maybe. You'll notice it is all, like pretty much all oil and gas in this right now. Because what it's doing is it's ranking all of the different stocks in the market. And what's strong right now is just, why not ESTE? I just don't like the spike up here. You could sell it before then, or you could buy it before then. It's just, I just didn't like the look of, right? Ran right up into, did this kind of shooting star type pattern and sold right back off. That's the only reason. I just worry about why that happened and how many bag holders are going to be up there. So you could say, for example, okay, if we had a close over 16, maybe that would be a good entry because that was like right in this area. Wasn't able to close up there before. But again, that's the only, it looks like a fine chart. That I was just a little bit off put by, and I think it's another oil and gas play, right? Which is partly, I don't show my whole portfolio, but I will say, like, there's a reason I'm skipping over all the oil and gas names, is I have both made a bunch from the oil and gas names and still own a crap ton of oil and gas names. So I'm like, every time I see that, I'm like, man, unless I really like it, because it's like mostly everything I own is oil and gas. So I need to be a little careful of just adding to that, right? Because if I end up buying half of my my portfolio is oil and gas, and then all of a sudden, right, some event comes out and we just get massive tank on it, then I'm taking a little bit more of a hit. So I try to like limit to like maybe a third of my portfolio and say that's the most I would put in kind of one industry before I start getting a little nervous. This one's a slow burner, and the weekly chart looks like death, but it's from the TI strength alert. So sadly, even though this is the market we're in, it's in one of the strongest names in the market. I like this kind of resistance zone here at 20. We are in this kind of short-term uptrend, a move up, a pullback. Something happened on earnings that was good. So I think I'm going to add this one to the list over 20. Whoa, IPCT, come on. ICPT? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to give this one just playing this zone. Plus, it's a clean whole number, right? So we can just do like a 2017. Oh, I know. That's why everything looks weird to me. Oh, that looks much better. There we go. PKG, it's like a packaging company. Yeah, it's going to be on that same list. That doesn't move very much. Right, so say you get in here and you get up, that's 5%. It's better than a kick in the teeth. But it's going to be in that same basket, right? So I think if you've got like a Merck and a DLTR and a KHC and all that, you just got to be careful of dipping, just like it's kind of crazy to go too deep into one sector. Make sure you don't go too deep into the kind of end of the world play. Because all of a sudden, if the world's not ending, then you go, oh, well, that sucks that Makes sense. Thanks for explaining. No problem. And again, if you are someone who you always want to be in the market, then it is the right thing to do. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what's going on. That's why a lot of these things are working as they're working, because they're all in that end of the world kind of bucket. So they're always going to be strong when the market weak, and if the market recovers, they may not sell off dramatically, but they will like dramatically underperform. Look at just everything. Everything I'm seeing here is all oil and gas, pipeline, natural gas distribution, natural gas, Schlumberger. There is just straight the USO and TI strength, so, and the USOI. So that is very interesting to me. I think I have enough. I'm gonna add this one anyway, if just because this is the one that I like the best of. Oh look, I was already looking at that. Oh, earnings when 3 candles. Darn. See, they have April here. Who is right? Ticker vet earnings. One reason I like using multiple vendors, sometimes they conflict and then you get a third one. Okay, I'm seeing that Trend Spider looks like they're right on this one. So, not going to add that. All right, guys. So, is there any more stocks that you guys want me to look at? Otherwise, I'm going to take off. I'm going to finish this blog up for the Stats Edge trading community there. And then I'm going to take the rest of the weekend off. I'm going to explore, I think, new times for this. I've just noticed that, I don't know if it's the market or people don't like me or whatever, but viewership is way lower this time. I may do something later at night or something. I don't know. I'm going to start playing, but we'll see. PPC. Pilgrims. Poultry processing. Yeah, maybe. Again, it's just really, 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 really slow one. You're talking pennies when it breaks out here. So I don't know, maybe if it breaks this 29-ish area, it's going to go up to these highs, which are 33, and these highs, which are 37. I don't know if it's just not worth my risk, I think. But nice looking chart. All right, guys, I am going to take off for you Stats Edge Pro members. Just check in Discord. I'll ping when I'm done. Should only take me like 10 minutes or so to put everything together. And I'm going to take care of that right now. As always, the one thing I'll say is if the market is going to be gross and crazy next week, you do not have to participate. Right? You just, like, I know it's really hard, especially for you newer traders, but you don't always have to, right? Again, Warren Buffett is completely different from the kind of stuff that I do, but he always said, right, you know, it's like playing baseball, except you never have to swing. You can sit there with the bat on your shoulder and just wait. You know, they cannot throw, they cannot strike you out. You can just hang out. So if we're going to be crazy, if that area on the SPY that I was talking about here at the beginning, if that's going to let go and we're going to do a sell off, you don't have to participate. And if it's going to bounce up to all-time highs, it's going to give you a shot. It's not going to go straight there, right? We're not gapping up one day to all-time highs. You know, it's going to give you an opportunity. So don't worry about that either. You know, good time to If you're struggling, good time to paper trade. If you're new, it's a good time to shorten your horizons, maybe trade a little smaller. Market will be back at some point. Don't worry about that. Everything will be fine. Again, you don't have to participate. I told you what I'm watching for. If we kind of break and hold above this area right here, that's where I think I'll probably be more aggressive on the long side. I'm watching the low of these two wicks. If we close below those, then I'm going to say, well, this area is kind of officially donezo. And then maybe we're going to pull back to this anchored VWAP, which is the anchored VWAP from the COVID lows, which gets us about 33.80. Let's see what happens when we hit there. And, that just might be on the ticket. We got 30.40 is the highs pre-COVID. So I'm just saying that things can fall a lot and the market still kind of quote unquote be healthy, right? So, again, don't feel like you have to participate. That's kind of my best advice. If you can sit, you can watch, you can build a list, you can make criteria and say, if the market does this, this, and this, I'm going to buy these stocks, that kind of stuff. But again, just don't feel forced. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good weekend.